This is Postscript News, cutting through the noise one headline at a time, quick, clear, unfiltered.
Welcome to another deep dive from us here at Postscript News, bringing you a synthesis of today's top headlines. April 10, 2025.
Yeah.
We're going to kick things off focusing on urgent U.S. developments, and then we'll shift our attention to the global stage.
That's good.
So let's dive right in. The US Postal Service has requested a price increase. You know those forever stamps?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, well, those might be going up to 78 cents.
Wow.
Which is a 5-cent jump from where we're at now at 73.
Okay.
So this proposal was submitted to the Postal Regulatory Commission on Wednesday.
This week?
This week, and it could potentially take effect as soon as July 13th.
So just a few months out.
Just a few months out.
Yeah.
And this 7.4% increase actually affects more than just those forever stamps that we talked about.
Mm-hmm.
It would hit postcards, metered letters, and even international mail.
So a pretty broad increase.
Yeah, and the USPS says this hike is essential to their long-term financial stability.
Mm-hmm.
And this isn't the first time they've brought this up either. They've repeatedly warned of these necessary, but as they call them, uncomfortable rate adjustments to try to become self-sufficient.
Yeah, interesting timing, though, with the former Postmaster General resigning back in March.
Yeah.
Amidst all that talk from the Trump administration and that DOGE about possibly privatizing the Postal Service.
Yeah, and that whole thing with the Department of Government Efficiency was really interesting to see unfold. I mean, this requested rate hike, I think it signals a direction for the USPS, regardless of what happens with those privatization efforts.
Yeah, it almost makes you think, is this rate hike just a way to make the USPS more appealing to potential buyers?
Yeah.
Or is it truly just a last-ditch effort to stay afloat with all these rising costs and the way people communicate these days?
Yeah.
Everything's going digital.
Yeah, I think that's a really important question for our listeners to consider.
Definitely.
All right, so let's move from the mail to the legal world. The House of Representatives just passed the No Road Rulings Act.
Oh, wow. I hadn't heard about that.
Yeah, this bill aims to limit the power of federal district judges to issue nationwide injunctions against Trump administration policies.
So instead of blocking a policy across the whole country,
Right.
these injunctions would only apply to the people directly involved in the case.
That's the idea.
Interesting.
And the vote was pretty close, 219 to 213, with almost all Republicans in favor and no Democrats supporting it.
Yeah, that makes sense, given how much the Trump administration has been fighting these nationwide injunctions on all sorts of hot-button issues.
Right, from birthright citizenship to DEI.
Yeah.
Those supporting the act say it's about preventing a single judge from essentially overturning policy for the entire country based on one local case.
It's like they're saying, hey, one judge shouldn't have that much power.
Yeah, and it's a big question about, where does the power of the judiciary end and the power of the executive branch begin?
Yeah. Where's the line?
But for our listeners who might not be familiar with all the legal jargon, what exactly does a nationwide injunction prevent from happening?
Well, essentially, it means that one federal judge can stop a policy put in place by the executive branch, like the president, from going into effect across the entire U.S.
Ah, okay.
Even if the lawsuit was just about a small group of people or a specific region.
So this bill is trying to change that, limiting the impact of a judge's decision to just the parties involved in the lawsuit.
Right, but here's the thing. This bill still has to get through the Senate, where it needs 60 votes to pass.
Yeah.
And that's not guaranteed. So it'll be interesting to see what happens.
All right, well, let's stay in the realm of government, but shift our focus to national security. U.S. intelligence has issued a warning about China.
Oh, this sounds serious.
It is. They're saying that China is trying to recruit current and former U.S. government employees through fake job offers.
So basically espionage.
Basically, yeah. And the NCSC, the National Counterintelligence and Security Center, is particularly concerned about these tactics, given all the recent federal layoffs.
I bet a lot of people are looking for work right now.
Exactly, and they're vulnerable. And China is reportedly posing as all sorts of things online. Consulting firms, corporate headhunters, think tanks.
Wow, they're really covering all their bases.
They are. And they're specifically targeting people with U.S. government backgrounds who might be desperate for a new job.
It's like a digital honey trap.
Yeah, kind of.
Taking classic spy tactics and bringing them into the 21st century.
Exactly. The NCSC is urging everyone to be super careful about their online presence.
Yeah, I think we can all use that reminder sometime.
Oh, definitely. They're saying scrutinize those connection requests really carefully and do your homework on any job offer that seems too good to be true.
Due diligence is key.
Absolutely. And they've also issued a bunch of recommendations for both employees and employers to improve cybersecurity.
Smart. I think this is a good reminder for everyone in this digital age.
Yeah.
It's so easy to forget that there are people out there trying to take advantage of us online.
All right, let's turn to the economy now. President Trump has announced a 90-day pause on those reciprocal tariffs.
The ones he put in place to match other countries' tariffs.
Yeah, and he's replacing them with a universal 10% rate for most U.S. trade partners to give them some breathing room for negotiations.
Interesting. And how did the markets react?
Well, this announcement actually caused a pretty big surge in U.S. stock markets on Wednesday.
So some positive movement there.
Yeah, but it's not all good news. While there's this temporary pause and a new universal rate for many trading partners, tariffs on imports from China have actually gone way up.
Oh, wow.
They're now at 125%.
That's a huge increase.
It is. This comes after China raised its own tariffs on U.S. imports to 84%.
So it seems like things are actually escalating with China.
Yeah, and the European Union is also getting involved. They have already voted to approve retaliatory measures against those earlier U.S. tariffs on steel and aluminum.
Right, the ones from a while back.
Yeah, and the first round of duties on U.S. imports from the EU are set to begin on April 15th.
So in just a few days.
So in just a few days, it seems like we're in this period of real uncertainty when it comes to trade as all these negotiations play out.
It's a tangled web, for sure. One little tug in one place can have massive ripple effects somewhere else.
Absolutely. And we're seeing reports of frustration from U.S. companies that had been diversifying their manufacturing away from China.
Trying to avoid those tariffs.
Exactly. But now they're facing new tariffs that are messing up all their plans.
It's tough to keep up.
It is. And it just highlights how complicated these trade wars can be and how even well-intentioned moves can have unintended consequences.
Definitely something to keep an eye on.
All right, one last headline from the U.S., and it's a disturbing one from Connecticut. A woman has been sentenced to 12 years in prison for firing a gun multiple times in the lobby of a police department back in October 2023.
Oh my gosh, that's terrifying.
It is. The reports say that she was under the influence of alcohol and clearly distraught when she started shooting at the front desk windows and an interior door where officers were standing.
And no one was hurt.
Thankfully, an officer was able to return fire from behind bulletproof glass.
Wow, that's a close call.
It really is.
And a stark reminder of the dangers that law enforcement officers face every day.
After she put down her gun, she was tasered and taken into custody, and she's since pleaded guilty to attempted first-degree assault.
12 years is a long time.
It is. Her public defender says she was under a lot of stress, financial problems, mental health issues, and she didn't have any prior criminal record.
So a lot going on there.
Yeah, it's a reminder that these kinds of desperate acts can come from a really complex mix of factors.
And the timing of this incident is also pretty significant.
Yeah.
It happened just a year after 2 officers from that same department were killed in an ambush.
Yeah, that's right. And an investigation found that the officer who returned fire in this later incident was justified.
It just underscores the risks that come with the job.
Absolutely. So that wraps up our U.S. headlines for this deep dive.
Okay.
We've covered potential increases in the cost of mailing letters,
Yeah.
legislative battles over the power of the judiciary, national security warnings about espionage, some major shifts in U.S. tariff policies, and a pretty disturbing act of violence against law enforcement.
All in a day's work.
It seems like it. But now let's broaden our view and look at some notable developments on the international stage.
Okay, let's see what's happening around the world.
Let's start with Argentina. Their Chamber of Deputies has launched an investigation into the collapse of a cryptocurrency called LIBRA.
Oh, yeah. I remember hearing about that.
And there are reports of potential connections to President Javier Milei.
Oh.
Yeah, this could have some pretty serious political fallout.
Definitely.
The Chamber of Deputies voted to set up a special committee that has the power to call government officials in for questioning and demand all sorts of documents related to this failed crypto token.
So they're not messing around.
Not at all. And you can already see the political divisions forming around this investigation. The vote to create the special commission passed with a strong majority.
Okay.
But there was also some strong opposition, which shows you how much pressure there is around this case. And lawmakers have also greenlit a bill to compel testimony from some high-ranking officials like the economy minister and the president of the National Securities Commission.
Wow. They're really going after the top brass.
Yeah, and it just goes to show how finance and politics are so intertwined on the global stage.
Yeah, it's all connected.
There are a lot of questions about what caused this cryptocurrency to crash and whether it hurt Argentina's financial interests. And you've got lawmakers coming out with different opinions. Some are stressing the need for strong legislative oversight in these matters,
Makes sense.
while others are cautioning against interfering with the judiciary's authority.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how this all plays out.
Definitely. But here's the thing. The fallout from this cryptocurrency collapse isn't limited to Argentina.
Oh, how so?
An Argentine lawyer has reportedly asked Interpol to issue a red notice for the creator of the LIBRA token.
Oh, wow. So they want this person on a global wanted list.
Essentially, yeah. And on top of that, a major cryptocurrency legal firm in the US has filed a lawsuit to recover profits and compensate investors who got burned.
So this has become an international legal battle.
It has. And it shows how these financial scandals can have ripple effects across borders and potentially impact the global financial system.
This is a sobering thought.
It is. All right, let's move to the Middle East, where things are getting pretty tense between the U.S. and Iran.
Oh, this is never good.
The White House press secretary, Caroline Leavitt, has issued a pretty strong warning to Iran.
What did she say?
She said that the Iranian regime would face hell to pay if it doesn't reach a deal with the Trump administration.
Wow, strong words.
Yeah, and this comes just one day after President Trump announced that U.S. and Iranian officials are actually scheduled to meet for direct high-level talks this coming Saturday.
So they're talking tough, but still willing to negotiate.
It seems that way. The stakes are incredibly high here. The White House is sending a clear message. Iran has to choose between a negotiated agreement and facing serious consequences.
Yeah, President Trump has made it very clear that he will not allow Iran to obtain nuclear weapons.
Right, and he's framed these upcoming talks as both a crucial opportunity and a test of Iran's intentions.
Makes sense.
But it seems like there's already some confusion about the nature of these talks.
Oh, what's the issue?
Well, the Iranian foreign minister has indicated that there'll actually be indirect discussions held in Oman.
Ah, so not face-to-face.
Right, with Oman's foreign minister acting as a go-between.
Interesting.
And this comes after the recent U.S. military action against the Houthis in Yemen.
The group that's considered an Iranian proxy.
Exactly. It just adds another layer of complexity to an already tense situation.
Yeah, it's hard to imagine these talks going smoothly with all that's going on.
President Trump has said that he prefers a negotiated solution over military action. But he's also acknowledged the risks involved. And he's even mentioned that he sent a letter to Iran urging them to come to the negotiating table.
So he's trying multiple approaches.
He's assuring. Whether these indirect talks will succeed is anyone's guess, but the potential consequences for regional and global stability are huge.
No pressure then.
Okay, let's end on a slightly lighter note.
Please.
Meta is launching a new second-screen theater technology.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, they're rolling it out alongside a re-release of the movie M3GN.
The one with the creepy doll.
That's the one. This Movie Mate technology from Meta will let moviegoers use their smartphones during the film.
Wait, so they're encouraging phone use in the theater?
It seems that way. The idea is to give people access to exclusive content in real time, like trivia, behind-the-scenes stuff, all synced up with the movie.
So it's like interactive bonus features.
Yeah, and for the M3GN screenings, they're even going to have a chat bot so fans can interact with the evil doll character.
Oh, that's kind of cool.
It is kind of creepy, too.
Yeah.
But it seems like Meta is trying to use its technology to make going to the movies more engaging and communal.
I guess they're trying to combat the whole streaming at home thing.
That's probably part of it. And they're hoping to build some buzz for M3GN 2.0, which comes out in June.
Smart marketing.
It is. It'll be interesting to see if this catches on.
I mean, it's a pretty big departure from the traditional movie-going experience.
It is. It'll be interesting to see what the future holds for movie theaters.
Yeah. How will technology shape the way we consume entertainment?
Big questions. And that brings us to the end of our Postscript News Deep Dive for April 10, 2025. We've covered a lot of ground today.
We have, from the potential for higher postage prices to the intricacies of global trade and even the evolution of entertainment.
What stood out to you the most from all these headlines?
I think it's fascinating how all these seemingly unrelated events can actually be interconnected.
Yeah.
Like how those trade tensions with China could be tied to those espionage concerns.
Right.
Or even the financial stability of the Postal Service.
I think that's a really important takeaway for our listeners. It's not just about the individual events themselves, but about understanding the bigger picture, the underlying strategies, and the potential domino effects.
Yeah, we need to think about the drivers behind these trends and what the long-term consequences might be.
Absolutely. The interplay between domestic policy, international relations, economic pressures, it all creates this incredibly complex web.
It's a lot to keep track of.
It is. So we encourage you to keep learning to dig deeper and to think critically about all the different perspectives at play.
And to stay informed.
And to stay informed. Thank you for joining us for this deep dive. Until next time, keep exploring and stay curious.